Today I'll be showing you how you can create a transparent navbar just like this, and when you scroll down the background gets dark so it doesn't interfere with anything else on the page. If this is something that you'd like to know how to do, then let's just go straight into it. I'm going to delete this just to show you that's my header, and then if I uncomment this out, this is typically where you'd be starting from, a normal navigation section, and when you scroll down it goes up, it doesn't stay on the page, but what we want is what I just showed you before. So now we're going to go straight into that line by line to see how it is done. The first thing that we're going to do is to get rid of the background color. So over here we have our CSS file. I'm going to go into the background color and I'm going to remove the color and I'm going to add transparent. Once I save, you can see the background is now gone. You can't see the navs because they're the same color as the background. The next thing that we want to do is to ensure that this navigation actually sits on top of the hero section. To do that, we're going to add a position of fixed. When you add a position of fixed, what it does is it pulls out whatever container the class is attached to, and then everything else just slides up behind it. So it pulls it out of the normal flow and then everything slides up. So because the nav is pulled out, the hero section, it just slides right up behind it. Now, when it's like this, it's in the top 0, left 0. And let me show you what I mean. If I say left 50%, what that does is it pushes the navbar from the left by 50%. So you can use top, left, right, bottom to position this wherever you want. But we don't need to do that. We're going to add a width of 100%. This ensures that the navbar extends all the way across the screen. And then we're going to add a display of flex, justify content center, and align item center. This all ensures that the navigation stays in the center of the container that it is in. So if you want to make your header bigger, let's say like this, then the navbar will always sit in the center and have equal spacing. Now that we have our navigation bar at the top here, oh, I should comment this out. We don't need that yet. Now that we have it at the top, did I save? No. Okay. Yeah, so now that we have our navbar at the top like this, you can see that it is fully transparent, it works, but then when we scroll down, it is interfering with everything else on the page. Now, what we want to do to ensure that this doesn't happen is to add a function that will activate whenever we scroll. And to do that, we're going to need some JavaScript. I'm going to walk you through that as well. But before we get to the JavaScript, let's talk about this section here. So let me uncomment this out. Now, what this part of the code is basically doing is it is saying if the container has header and scrolled together in the class list, then you do everything that is in here. And let me show you what they mean by that. If I go to my index.html file, let me maximize this. And I go to, let's go to the nav. So here's the class, the header class. So it's saying if we have header and scrolled together like this, then this is going to be activated. And you can now change whatever is within these curly braces. So that's all that that CSS is saying. If it is structured like this, dot header dot scrolled. in order for us to actually use this, we're going to write a small JavaScript snippet that will activate and add this class to the container so that we can do this. So let's head over to our JavaScript file and let's go ahead and first we're going to create our arrow function. So constant, we're going to call it nav scroll. Now this is our arrow function, and inside of it we're going to add the event, and the event that we're looking for is a scroll event. So window dot add event listener scroll and function. So now make sure I add my colon right there. Right. So now that we have our event listener, this is saying if we detect a scroll, run this function. And what should this function do? We're going to define it in here. So let's create a variable. And this variable is going to hold the container that has the CSS selector dot header. So we're going to add document dot query selector, and the selector that we're looking for is dot header. So it's going to find the container that has dot header and it's going to store it inside header. Now once we have that, we can then check if a scroll happens. So if window dot scroll y, so a vertical scroll, if that is greater than 50 pixels, then do something. The something that we want to do, remember, is to add this class here to the container. So we say header dot class list dot add, and what are we adding? Scrolled. So now this will add the class scrolled to the class list of the container, which we have stored inside of header. And once you add scrolled to the container, then this actually it becomes true. So dot header dot scrolled is in the container's class list, and this will be applied to it. So let's wrap up the JavaScript. If it is less than 50 pixels, what do? We want to remove scrolled from the class list. So header dot class list dot remove, and we are removing scrolled. So if I scroll down, the bar should become dark because now we scrolled beyond 50 pixels. But if I scroll back up, now it's less than 50 pixels, so remove the background. That's all that this is saying. Now that we have the function, we want to go ahead and export it. If you're just adding this JavaScript in the normal way to like your HTML file, then all you really need is just like this section here. But I store all my JavaScript in a separate file, so this main.js is what I call in my HTML, and I import all the other elements, so my scripts and my styles inside of this main.js. So that's why I'm going to export it here. So if you don't have the same setup, you don't need to do this part. Well, you don't need to even put it inside of this function, you only need this. But let me just go ahead and export this. And hit save. So now that I've done that, as you can see, once I start to scroll down, the bar becomes active. And when the bar is active like this, it means that we've added scrolled to the class list. And to see that this is true, let's go ahead and inspect the page. Let's inspect this section here. You can see, I'll make this bigger. You can see that we have header and scrolled inside the class list. And if I scroll up, look what happens. The class only has header and container. Scroll down, it added scrolled to it. So that's all that is happening here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped. If you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. What I can't answer or explain, or maybe it needs a lot more expanding on, I might just make a video explaining that. So again, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.